Decision making is such a huge skill in Rocket League that it is literally a part of every other aspect of the game, but it's also one of the most difficult to improve on just because of how fast the game happens. So in today's video, we'll be discussing how your decision making impacts the other areas of the game, as well as showcasing how a better understanding of the game can help you improve this critical skill. Good patience, I like this. Ooh, good patience until it wasn't. I think you panicked here at the end. I really like the idea of you taking control here. It's not the best first touch, but I like the idea, so that's good. We just need to make sure that that ball probably stays a little bit closer to us on that first touch. Then right here, your low boost. Your only objective when you're on low boost like this is we have to just realize, like, look, we're not going to be able to score this. Like, there's no chance that we're getting past both of these defenders on zero boost. It's just not going to happen. So when that's the case, we need to figure out what can we do to still be effective in this play for our team. And to answer that question, the last thing we ever want to do is do anything that's just going to send the ball really far away from ourselves and give it directly to one of the opponents. Because again, this touch that you're making here is just like, oh, here you go, buddy. You have the ball. I'm going to go get boost or something now. I don't want to play it anymore. And it's just completely unnecessary to make touches like this. The problem a lot of players have when they're on zero boost is that they just think, let me try to hit the ball hard so that I get it as far into my opponent's half as humanly possible. Which isn't really a great idea when you're giving up possession. So with these, just keep your car close to the ball, exactly where it is here, and just force a 50 with this guy. Just like wait for him to come towards this ball and then block his touch to the best of your ability. Because that way, you maintain control of how the overall play is going to go, and he is forced to react to what you're doing. If you just ship the ball away from yourself, you've now relinquished that control, and your team is now forced to react to whatever this guy wants to do, which is not the position we want to put ourselves in, especially because we're landing pretty far upfield on zero boost. It's actually kind of fortunate that we get demoed because now we're going to be back automatically, but if we hadn't gotten demoed, we would be upfield on zero boost, and we'd be leaving our teammate completely alone for quite a bit of time while we tried to recover back. This is relatively okay, although I would caution you to be careful of this defensive positioning. So I don't mind the angle that you take back to net here because you're not sure if your teammate's going to get beat. At the time that you realize that, like, it's fine, so, like, right around now, I guess, when you realize, like, all right, this is pretty much relatively fine because the only person who can really touch this ball is this guy, and he does not really have much of an angle to put this ball on target quickly. When this kind of position happens, we don't want to sit in, like, this area. Because from this kind of spot, if a shot does come in, we don't have a whole lot covered. Because if the ball goes, like, up to the top corner, there's no way we can turn for that fast enough. If it goes, like, bottom corner, we can't turn for that either. Maybe we have some of the back post stuff covered, but we don't have anything covered here at the near post. So with that in mind, we want to readjust ourselves here to be able to put ourselves in a position where we can cover as much of the net as possible. So with that in mind, instead of just kind of sitting here and, you know, just waiting to see what happens, we should recognize, based on where that guy was going, that there was no chance he was really doing anything immediately, and we still do have that teammate in front of us, and we should have taken that opportunity to just, like, go like this. Back to here. Because this basically does the exact same thing as waiting here, except it puts us in a much better spot to defend anything. Because if we had done this, we might be, like, here around now. Now our teammate's challenging it. Now we'd be here. And granted, our teammate wins the challenge, so it's not going to matter. But if our teammate had lost this challenge and this ball had gone, like, off the backboard, what are you going to do from this position? Not a whole lot. This is not the spot you want to be in. So much better to be in this kind of position. Yes, you're a little bit further away from the ball, but you have all of the options covered should this ball go mid, off the backboard. You got your coverage of your net. Up there, you don't have much. So just try to keep yourself in spots where you can defend as much of the net as possible, especially when you're last man back in that kind of position. You definitely don't want to just be sitting inside the box because you don't really have much of the net covered from that kind of position. Okay, be careful of these. This is a very, very hard habit to break. And I know because I still do this. It's very difficult to tell yourself, don't go for this ball. But we have to be aware of the situation. So right now, what I'm seeing is teammate is in our opponent, deep in our opponent's half on 0 boost. So if we commit here and we get beat, we put ourselves in a position where we're upfield on fairly low boost, and our teammate is probably scrambling back somehow on somewhat low boost. Depends on what he does with chasing this ball across the field. But you definitely don't want to be diving for this. So our teammate loses that boost. We can already see that our teammate does not have that boost. So what that tells me is there's no world in which I'm jumping for this, because my teammate is not in a good enough position to play off of this if I lose this challenge. So I'm just going to drive up the wall and then drive back. Just kind of force them into thinking that I'm here. Maybe they just kind of throw the ball away, but I'm 100% not full committing for this. It's just way too risky, because even if we do get a block, like, let's say you do get a touch, what exactly does that do for your team? Not a whole lot. Because your teammate's still right there on the wall on 0, and you're basically on 0. So even if you get this touch around the wall, it's just free for this guy, and then you're still in that same position where you've just given up, like, a 2v1 against your teammate who's trying to find boost on his way back. So if your teammate's in front of you, and they're kind of stuck in your opponent's half, don't go for the ball unless you have a completely free touch into a safe place. Right here, this is another very big habit that is very difficult for players to break. And the habit is this. Do we need to touch this ball right now? No. No one is able to challenge this ball. This guy's getting bumped. This guy's behind that. So what I often say is, if you can't really get a good touch, like from here, the only touch we can get is like a soft touch towards this wall, which these guys, like this guy especially, is just gonna be ready for. And this guy's getting bumped in that direction. Obviously, you can't really react to this bump because it just happened as I pause this, so it's a little bit difficult to play for that. But because this ball is rolling towards you, it is okay to just let it go. Let it go towards the wall, play back towards the wall, and then try to just control it from there. Because you give yourself more time, you can even swing a bit wider on this, because you're going to win this race. Like, there is no way that they can get to the ball faster than you because the ball is moving towards you. So just don't be afraid to let the ball bounce and take control. Because if you had just faced towards the wall, this thing might either roll up the wall itself, or you could just catch it a little bit further back. And then control the 50 a little bit better. Instead of doing, this, where you just kind of hit the ball directly into where they're going. Now you're getting tripped up by your teammate because he wanted this boost and you flipped directly into that spot, which is super awkward. Would have just given us a little bit more space to play with the ball. We would have avoided that bump from our teammate probably. Things just would have been a little bit cleaner, and now we wouldn't be stuck in this corner directly underneath the ball. This is literally the exact same thing as like we talked about before with being willing to dive, and this is exactly why you don't hard commit for a ball as second man, unless you're positive you're gonna get the win. Because right here, this looks juicy as all get out. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go for this, I'm gonna slam it towards the net, it's gonna be a goal because that defender's not gonna be fast enough. The problem is he's beating you to this. There's no way that you're getting to this faster. If you just looked at him, you would have seen it. But with these in general, you just like, sometimes you just have to be willing to go like, yeah, that looks good, but I know there's a defender right here. Because as this ball is bouncing, you know there's a defender there. And you know that there's no way they're going to let this bounce for free. Like, they're going to be challenging this. And because you're not like over here already where you could just drive at this and you have to like swing around this ball, you're going to get beat by this guy every time because he can just drive directly at it. You have to swing around, which is going to slow you down. So it is much better in this kind of position to just wait. Honestly, I don't even know if I would have gotten this far, but especially now, just dip out that way and just try to play back towards your own net. You have the boost to get back, but just don't be willing to commit for these things because, again, teammate in a horrible spot. This is the exact situation you don't want to be committing for because the reward is not worth the risk. Like, yes, maybe you get a touch here, but also it's much more likely that you get 50'd at the at absolute best. You might get a 50. And even then, you're stranding both you and your teammate upfield with low boost. So yeah, just don't go for that kind of ball as last man. It's just not worth it. Much better to just play safe in that position and try to defend to buy your teammate time to get back. Ooh, okay. So, this is classic, like, diamond gameplay where you're not comfortable going on the backboard. And this is a skill that is very important to develop. As soon as this touch comes out, it's immediate recognition of, yes, this guy's not really on it anymore. Up the backboard you go. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to just be sitting here like this. Because if you're just sitting here on the ground, what that allows is, number one, if this guy recognized it, he could just go back down to the ground, wait to read the bounce, and then jump up with you, which is not the position you want to be in. You want to be in as much control as possible, because also, quick shot, if he sees you just sitting on the ground and his teammate isn't flying at this ball like a madman, might be able to jump for this as well. But yeah, if you just drove up the wall here, you'd have completely free control of this ball. Because this thing is going, like, yes, it's a bit awkward because it's all the way up at the curve, but you definitely could get, like, some kind of touch here to play it back out into the corner, which is exactly what you want to do. You never want to let these balls bounce for free while sitting on the ground like this. Because at this rank, it's totally fine, because this guy's doing whatever the heck this is. If you let this bounce like this in GC, that guy's reading it. Because this guy also probably hasn't stayed on it. He's probably tapped it up there, recognized he couldn't get it, come back down to the ground, rotate it out, or he's going for bumps because you're just sitting here, and then this guy's jumping. And at a higher rank, he is going to read that. And he probably would be shooting it right around now. So yeah, just try to cut off that space. If you see a ball going for free to the backboard, don't let it bounce for free. Just go up there and try to get control of it. Be careful. Again here, pads immediately. Immediate recognition, you just need 3 pads. Either, there's 2 options, there or there. Either works, just get one of them. And especially because I'm not a huge fan of you sitting up here with 12 boost. It's just not worth it because it's very unlikely that you're going to get a shootable ball with that much boost. So you really should just be spending this time getting whatever pads you can, getting ready to play off of whatever touch comes out next. Because you're like sitting under this ball, just waiting for this touch, and this ball is going over your head. So if we had instead rotated all the way out, not all the way, but if we had gone like back towards midfield, let's just say we'd gone all the way out here and had gotten, 24 boost or whatever, now we could just do over this way. And we'd end up in the same spot, but now we'd have momentum going towards the ball as opposed to running away from it. So just really consider, again, like, try not to put yourself in awkward spots, because that's what's going to allow your opponents to get free counterattacks and free goals, is if you put yourself in awkward positions. If you're going to give up goals, you want it to be because you got outplayed, not because you put yourself in a spot where you couldn't make a play on the ball in the first place. Oh, okay. So here's probably going to be issue number 1. This is all about awareness. Who on the blue team is challenging you?
Oh, no one.
Yeah, don't just boom this thing. Like, we're up by 1 with 22 seconds. This guy has to go, like, all the way back here to get boost before he can effectively challenge, unless he's going to take small pads. This guy's floating in the air. We just want to stall time, because our teammate's also landing upfield. So just catch this ball, dribble it, like, over here to like, the wall. Just dribble it up the side here. Just do whatever you can to maintain possession of this, to A, buy your teammate time to get back, and B, just try to drain as much time off this clock as possible.
Alright, I couldn't get to the ball to catch it.
So, this goes back to the whole thing, like, you don't need to hit this ball immediately. This ball is not on target. So what's the worst thing that happens if you just let this thing bounce again? Like, what is the danger if you just let this thing bounce up again and then come back down? Like, why do we need to hit it right now? One of the biggest lessons that I think players in, like, Plat and Diamond need to learn is just because you can get a touch on the ball does not mean you need to take the first available touch that comes to you. Like, yes, can we touch this ball? We absolutely can. Do we need to, though? No, because there's no harm in letting it come back down a second time and then playing it off of there. As we're doing that, though, we do want to be, like, aware of the opponent behind us who's, like, landing from that initial challenge. We just want to make sure they're not coming to bump us. But we do have time to just let this thing bounce. Like, we don't need to play it as soon as possible. Just because we can play it doesn't mean we should. Sometimes it's okay to play the ball a bit slower to make sure we get the ideal touch. Because obviously you had ages of time. Because the guy who was landing from the challenge is actually already committed to going back that way. So if you had just let this thing bounce again, you would have had ages of time to play it. You probably would have drained another 10 seconds off this clock. Like, somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds if you just let the ball bounce a couple times. And played control. Oh, that's unfortunate. Honestly, what I would do in your position is the only thing you can really do is recognize that you are technically closer to this and just commit. Again, don't dive at it, but just apply this pressure, because even if your teammate does stay on, like, as you get closer, you could then decide to turn off. But I think staying on a little bit longer would be beneficial. Like, just to make sure he doesn't hit it directly this way. Because if we're like right here, we're going to ensure that he does go to the corner. And then we can just, you know, rotate off of that. And again, that'll keep us out of the situation where both our teammate and ourselves are trying to defend the same ball. And as you had gotten closer, if you did see your teammate full committing, then you could have just turned off. You had a bit more say in what was going on there because you could see him. I doubt your teammate could see you. So yeah, like this entire play, he doesn't see you at all until now. So yeah, you probably have a bit more say as to what's going on here because you could have pushed across to that. And if your teammate had stayed committed, then you could just turn off because you had vision on him. He didn't really have vision on you. Oh. Yeah, okay. So this one's tough because your teammate doesn't even get contact on this 50, which is not something that we normally expect to have happen. Maybe you do push a little bit too far forward now that we see when this challenge actually comes out. My brain always says like it is better to be further back just in case something really bad happens. Because the fact of the matter is, if teammate wins this challenge, we have all the time in the world to push upfield. Because that's going to be both their players out in our half, so we have plenty of time. But if we push too far forward and the ball goes over our teammate, now we're in a really, really bad spot. So I will always say, especially on defense in overtime, be safer. So I would probably stay back in like this area and just wait to see where this is going to go. Because from here, I have this block. Like I can immediately just go for this and I have it cleared. If you push up here, you're kind of playing for the fact that teammates should get some kind of challenge that goes literally anywhere but towards your net. But the fact of the matter is from here, you aren't covering the option of if it does go towards your net. Like you're only covering the option if it stays out in the midfield here. Because even if it goes to the corner, you don't have that covered either. So again, just talking about like playing as many options as possible, being a little bit further back would allow us to play wherever this ball goes rather than, you know, being up here and limiting that availability. Because once you're in this spot, you're toast. There's no way you're making the save. You would have to jump now, and that's just not something that you're able to do at a diamond level, and you're getting bumped anyway. So yeah, a little bit more space to that ball. Just be aware that like anything can happen with that challenge. So we should probably position in a spot where we can cover as many different things as possible. As you guys can see, decision-making really does have a hand in every other aspect of the game. You want to talk about how you're utilizing your mechanics? That's decision-making. You want to talk about how you're rotating and positioning around the field? Decision-making as well. So if you want to see massive improvement in your gameplay while focusing on as few things as possible, your decision-making is a great place to start. Of course, thank you everybody so much for watching. I really do appreciate each and every one of you who made it to this point in the video, and I do hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you're interested in seeing some more Rocket League coaching content, make sure you do click that subscribe button right down below. As with each and every video, we strive to help you guys improve just a little bit more at Rocket League. Additionally, if you're interested in some one-on-one coaching of your own, or perhaps you just like to be a bit more involved in the community we're building here, feel free to check out my Discord, which I'll have linked down in the description, as I do offer free coaching through there. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. See you later, guys.